A lot of estheticians graduate knowing how to perform a service or services, but not necessarily how to think clinically, handle difficult consultations, or build long term client trust. And honestly, that's where many professionals begin losing confidence in this industry. Hi, welcome back to Beauty Babble. I'm Suzanne, Sodesco certified esthetician, former spa owner, educator, and mentor to beauty professionals. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get discussed enough in aesthetics education: the difference between being protocol trained and being truly clinic ready. This episode isn't about criticizing schools or educators. It's about having an honest industry conversation around the gaps many estheticians experience once they leave the classroom and set up into the real treatment rooms. Real consultations, real client expectations, and real pressures to produce results. Because success in this industry today requires so much more than memorizing steps from a textbook. Protocols teach you what to do, but experiences teach you why you're doing it. So a lot of estheticians think of their confidence comes from more treatments and doing more and more, but often it comes from stronger understanding and repetition. So the consultation skills that most estheticians weren't fully taught is how to ask better questions. Do you have sensitive skin? What products are you using? Sound familiar? Maybe I've heard this from other practitioners, been, in the industry for a while, a lot of experience. They ask it a little differently. How does your skin typically react after treatments or new products? Have you noticed your skin changing with stress, hormones, or the seasons? What is your biggest frustration with your skin right now? And how long has that been happening? And that can relate to the past as well. So you have a bit of an idea what's behind there. The difference is depth. You're not collecting answers. You are building a skin story with your clients. Reading between the lines of clients' answers is a big one. I'm sure you've all been through this, and it will continue on, I'm sure, as well. Sorry about that. So, for example, my skin is breaking out. It may actually indicate stress or barrier damage, disruption, or product overload. I'm going to go with overload probably in this day and age. My skin is dry, may actually be dehydrated or sensitive or impaired barrier function. A strong consultation skill is learning to translate language into clinical understanding. Identify what the clients actually want versus what they actually say to you. Have you heard this one? I just want a facial. But what can that mean? I feel like my skin has changed and I don't know why. I want to feel confident again. I want someone to fix what I can't fix at home. Advanced consultations work in about identifying emotional and functional goals, not just service requests. It's a lot more in depth than that. So setting expectations before treatments begin in a consultation is also a protection tool for the client and for you, the esthetician. So this includes, sorry about this, realistic timelines for the results as well. If someone comes in and they have a breakout, well, that's not going to be fixed by the next time you see them. More than likely, I'm talking, acne, 2, 3, that type of thing. Possible skin reactions and post-skin treatments. What one treatment can and cannot achieve. Whether the skin is ready for the requested service. Has that happened to you where someone booked in a treatment and maybe your forms are online, you did your due diligence, you crossed your T's, dot your I's, and they come in and you're looking at their skin saying, well, I can't do the service on you today. Say, there's a different way to say it. A strong esthetician doesn't overpromise anything to secure that booking, first off, right? but you're going to align the expectations early to build that trust, and that builds retention. So the consultation is not a formality before their treatments. It's clinical foundation that determines whether the treatment plan will succeed or fail. So speaking to your clients, you want to ensure that you tell them right now, looking at your skin, or maybe even what they've told you, today is not the day to be doing this treatment on you, but I propose a different one for you. It is A, B, C, D, and it will take this much time and it will cost you this much. So make sure that's not upselling, and make sure they understand that. So you want to do the factual things with their skin and what you see, what's going on with their skin. So protocols versus clinical thinking, there's a few things that you want to look at. So following steps versus understanding skin behavior, they're two different things. So many estheticians are initially trained to follow structural protocols. Step-by-step treatments in schools were designed to ensure safety and consistency, so everybody was doing the same thing. Unfortunately, that takes place outside of school when you're finished. And you need to evolve from that. This gets you going. It gets you into a habit, a repetition. For example, facials. Okay, now you understand how to cleanse. You understand exfoliations. You understand, hopefully, massage and why you do it, the direction of flow, all those things, masks, day creams, serums. But while this builds a foundation in your skills, which is important, it can also unintentionally create that recipe mindset instead, where your focus becomes on completing steps correctly, like you did the steps to a facial, so you did it right, rather than understanding what the skin is actually doing. So clinical thinking begins when you start asking, what is the skin barrier communicating to me right now? What do I see? What do I feel? Is there inflammation, dehydration, or irritation presenting? Is there acne? Is there breakouts? Does the skin need stimulation or calming and repair? The shift from doing your treatments to reading the skin while treating it, that is truly the shift. For example, you have, two clients come in different times, both have acne. Should you automatically be doing the same treatment? One of the most important clinical misunderstandings is treating conditions instead of individuals. So one person who has acne versus the other with a breakout, it doesn't mean it's for the same cause. There's many reasons why. There's hormone fluctuation, there's barrier disruption, overexfoliating and product overload, and stress-related inflammation. The products could be creating the comedones, that comedogenic product, or their lifestyle factors as well. So a protocol-only approach would teach from what you were taught, sure, but doing it both ways to treat it isn't clinical thinking. You want to adapt based on the causes, not just the presentation of the skin. Advanced estheticians understand that, the protocols are a framework, not a fixed rule. So how do you adapt? It could be reducing stimulation when the barrier is compromised, right? Modifying exfoliations, depth, or even frequency. It's okay to say, okay, don't exfoliate for the next few days. Nothing's wrong with that. Explain to your client the why, though. So prioritizing hydration and repair before active correction is crucial. So if you had that acne client and you know that they're dehydrated, you need to work on hydration before you do the active correction. Adjusting modalities based on the skin's response in real time. That safe adapting isn't that you're doing less. It's doing what the skin can tolerate and benefit right in that very moment when you're working with your clients. Recognizing contraindications or barrier impairment. So key gap in early practice is identifying when not to proceed with a planned treatment, even though maybe you even were the one that recommended it. It's okay to adjust because the signs of the barrier are the most important thing. So if there's increased sensitivity or stinging, persistent redness, tightness, discomfort after cleansing, like you want to ask your clients these questions, unexpected breakouts. Maybe it's a reactive breakout to something. We don't know what, but you're going to do is ask the questions and dig and find out. So clinical thinking requires pausing protocols when the skin is not in the state to receive them safely. Be confident in that decision. You're doing the right thing by stopping, pausing, and checking again. So thinking critically instead of memorizing routine. This is a huge part. So, memorizing creates technicians who can repeat treatments, and that's fine and dandy. But critical thinking creates practitioners who can adjust outcomes. Understanding, ingredients and modality interactions. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? During that treatment or the next time? You're observing how the skin responds session to session. Don't assume last week doing Susie and then you come in for that week after that you can do the same thing, even though that was your intent. Adjust the treatment plans based on progress, not routine. And making decisions based on evidence is crucial, and observation, not just the habit. So protocols teach consistency, sure, but clinical thinking is what allows you to safely customize, adapt, and actually improve skin right in front of you. So strong estheticians don't just know treatments. They know when to modify, slow down, or even not to treat. What clinics or spas are actually looking for out there. One of the most underestimated skills in aesthetics is actually communication. Spas and clinics are not just hiring for technical ability. They know your facial steps or your treatments or using this machine. They are hiring for someone who can explain treatments clearly and confidently. You can set realistic expectations without over-promising, make clients feel safe and understood and informed, and handle questions or concerns without being defensive. So strong communication directly impacts the trust, retention, and rebooking rates. Professional and adaptability is another key element that they're looking for out there. Professionals that go beyond, this goes beyond your appearance and punctuality. It's how someone handles real world pressures that happen. It could include, staying calm when appointments run behind or change on you, handling different clients' personalities respectfully, where we turn into a little bit of a chameleon that we got to adjust ourselves a little bit. I'm not saying change who you are and your values, but we do need to sometimes adapt. It could mean you have a very talkative client and you're trying to get them to have, they came in saying they came for relaxation. How do you change and start to, change that road with that pathway with that client? Being coachable and open to feedback. And this is from, could be your team members. It could be your lead, your employer, your boss. It could be your clients as well. Some clients enjoy giving feedback and telling you what they think. This is something that a lot of people know a lot more than they used to. So understanding it and then figuring out what it is, why are they asking or telling you these things? Adapting when protocols or products change. This is another one where, I know I still have favorite products from 20, 30 years ago that I absolutely loved, or even just like last year, for example. But you want to embrace that your brands are staying on top of the research and development and the science, that they're coming out with new things, or maybe it's protocols. There's a new massage. There's different ways to do things, and they're learning more and more and more. And you have to learn to adapt and change and be excited by it. So when your client says, no, they got rid of that mask, I love that mask. Now what am I going to do? Say, well, guess what? It's new and improved. It's going to be even better because it has XYZ in it. So find that excitement in it and get over the fact that, the product's not available. They're changing because the pressures out there of all of, like I said, the research and science is demanding the brands to keep improving, and you want that. So clinics value estheticians who can stay consistent even when conditions are not ideal. Ability to educate clients clearly is another one they look for. So modern aesthetics is highly educational driven. That means clients are not just buying treatments, you guys. They are buying understanding. They want to know why. Strong estheticians can explain what a treatment does in simple, non-intimidating language. Maybe you know the science behind it. That's great. But clients don't want to hear that. They just want to hear a simple way of explaining it to them. Break down home care routines in ways that clients will actually do it and follow. So what if they bought 5 products from you? Are they going to do it and use it? Because in the end, they're going to point their finger at you and say, well, this isn't working, even if they're not using it, or it became too complicated. Oh, I don't have time. You have to know your clients. Make sure they actually follow what you can do. Connect treatment plans to real skin outcomes. Reinforce why consistency matters without sounding overly technical. That education is going to build compliance, sure, but compliance builds results. And that's another thing. You want to help them understand so that you get the results. Because once they see that you gave them results, well, there's that trust and loyalty and rebooking. And referrals will start to happen too. Spas and clinics and team mindset and willingness to learn. Clinics operate and spas operate in an environment, not individual treatment rooms. So it's an overall thing. You have to look at that. They look for people who support team flow and share responsibilities. You're willing to continue to learn beyond your certification. It's okay to grow. Sorry. Respect the systems and protocols and their standards. It's their place. You have to figure out. And if you don't know why, have a private conversation, ask the questions. Well, why do you do it this way? I don't understand. And it's not that you're not going to follow along. You just need to understand the why behind it. And can you grow with a structured environment rather than resist it? I think that's a tough one. Any changes that happen, tends to be resistance, and you need to learn to adapt and grow with these things. Not always is it positive, and I understand that. I mean, if they're cutting your hours, I get that, but I'm talking about maybe protocols in your treatments, new services applied, new products come in. There's changes in the spa menu. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? Not the human resource side of things. A strong esthetician who cannot work within a team often becomes a liability, not an asset. And that's when, things start to change. And on that other side, like maybe you do get let go. Maybe they're cutting your hours back. It's something you got to look at and ask, why is those things happening? So why personality and clients' trust matter just as much as technical skill. So in most spas and clinics, clients just don't return for the treatment. They return to the person who delivers them that consistency, that warmth and professionalism. The confidence without arrogance is a big one, and the ability to make clients feel seen and cared for. Trust is built through that. The technical skills get clients in the room, okay? But trust is what keeps them coming back to you. So most spas and clinics can teach you protocols, sure, but what's harder to teach is professionalism, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking. Another segment that is becoming bigger and bigger out there is the pressure of the advanced aesthetics. Social media is glamorizing advanced treatments too early. Social media also has significantly reshaped how aesthetics is perceived as well. So sometimes advanced treatments like microneedling, chemical peels, lasers, combination protocols, all that stuff are often shown as quick, polished results, right? That perfect thing without context of training, depth, the assessments that are involved or case selections. They only show that end result or that quick, 10, 20-second video, that reel. So, this can create the impression that advanced equals better, faster, or more successful, when in reality, we know it simply means more complex and more responsibility. So, why newer estheticians feel rushed to specialize is part of that. But many new estheticians feel pressure to choose a niche quickly. You've done everything. You're going to focus on acne or anti-age or laser or brows, advanced skin treatments, often before they're fully developed with the foundational confidence. And that comes with time. So this rush is driven usually by, the online comparison culture, like you're looking and you're seeing, or maybe your clients are asking too, marketing around those high level services, fear of being left behind in a competitive industry. This one is the big one. I find the most people out there now see something new and they need to do it, offer it. So I want you to pause. You're not going to be left behind. You need to educate yourself on what that service is and check. Are you actually doing it already? Do you have everything you need to actually do it? These are things you have to look at, right? So misunderstanding that specialization equals success, it's not always the case. In reality, that premature specialization can limit your long-term versatility. You need to adapt and change and do things differently and move from people to people. The importance of mastering foundation first is that skilled estheticians are built on strong fundamentals. And those foundational skills will include like skin analysis and barrier understanding, like at a deep level, not superficial. It's not just about what type of skin do they have, right? It's deeper. Basic facial techniques and respond to observation, what you see, and products, ingredient literacy, like understanding really what it's about. Client communication and consultation skills is another one. So without this base, advanced treatments become harder to apply safely and effectively. Mastering at a foundational level creates the confidence at every advanced level. Then you're ready to go. So I'm not saying don't go out and learn the advanced treatments first, but if you don't have a foundational level, this is where things can go wrong because you were taught to do step by step in that treatment, but you weren't taught the base level of the foundations of skin, let's say. Over treatment today, the trends in this industry are outstanding, large. It's crazy. It's a growing concern in modern aesthetics that this over treatment, using too many modalities, actives, over aggressive protocols too frequently. More is not better. That's what I'm going to say again to you. More is not better. It's understanding what the skin needs. Just because your best friend has been doing these treatments does not mean that you can do these treatments. And I'm much kinder about it to my clients, but I still go back to, okay, well, this is your skin. This is what we've noticed. This is your history. This is what we see, and bring it back to that because we want to make sure that we don't have, barrier disruption, increased sensitivity or inflammation that compromise long-term results that people end up having over time. All of a sudden, they become inflamed and reactive. Clients' confusion about what is actually helping, sometimes the most advanced clinical decision is restraint and say no. That's the only way I can put it to you. Building long-term career sustainability. This one's been tough over the last, I'd say probably 5 years or so that I've noticed. The sustainability success in aesthetics is not built on fast results or trending treatments. It's built on strong foundational knowledge, continuous education. I can't get over how many of you out there have not learned anything new in years. You're not doing education on, why is the nervous system impacting everybody these days? Menopause, like what's going on with the skin? When they have other things happening, I'm not saying become a dietitian, a doctor, or a, naturopath, but understanding and learning is part of what's going to bring more to your room, which is going to help you and your client, right? The clinical decision-making skills, again, that's part of it. The more you know, the more you learn, the more you're able to make those clinical decisions. Understanding when to progress and when to just pause. There's been times where, we're going to full on, we're going to do this, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to do peels and microneedling and all that. And then you see them, they come in and say, ooh, you know what? I'm looking at your skin right now and it's looking, I don't know, maybe a little pinker than normal, red, a little inflamed. Let's do a repairing session today. It's not going to hinder your progress, because if we don't take care of this now, in the long term, it's probably going to affect those results. So we want to keep adapting into what your skin is telling me, what's going on with it. So estheticians who grow steadily tend to have a longer, more sustainable career. So slow and steady wins the race. Advanced techniques don't always equal advanced understanding. So real expertise comes from knowing how skin responds, not just how a treatment looks. Confidence comes with experience and continued education. So confidence in this industry is not something you arrive at. It's something that you need to build and continue to build. It develops through repetition, reflection, continued education, and exposure to different skin types, skin situations, and treatment outcomes. The most confident estheticians are not the ones who know everything. They are the ones who have seen enough to trust their clinical judgment. Nobody knows everything immediately. It's important to normalize that. No esthetician enters the industry fully prepared for every situation. Every esthetician experiences moments of uncertainty, especially early in the career, and that's fair. Growth in this field is gradual and it builds through experience, not perfection at the start. And when you embrace that, you keep learning and growing, and then learning and growing, and then you're so much better for your clients and maybe your teammates or another colleague. So speaking of that, the importance of mentorship and ongoing learning. So mentorship and continued education plays a critical role in shaping strong professionals out there. Learning does not stop after graduation. In many ways, it just begins. So being open to feedback, observing experienced practitioners, estheticians, clinical technicians, and investing in advanced education, all contributing to that long-term success. So curiosity is one of the most valuable traits in aesthetics. Asking questions, seeking deep understanding, and staying open to learning allows you to evolve in this industry rather than fall behind. There's always more to learn. And that mindset is what separates a good technician from great ones. So if you're in a season where things feel uncertain or you're feeling a little overwhelmed, that's not a sign you're not capable. Okay, you're not failing. It's actually a sign you're actively growing into the esthetician you're becoming. And if you ever feel unprepared or question yourself after graduation or early in your career, or maybe you still are, as I said, you're not failing. You're simply moving through the part of aesthetics can only be learned through experience, observation, and continued education. This industry takes time, lots of time. It takes repetition and it takes a willingness to keep learning as you go. Thank you so much for joining me today on today's episode of Beauty Babble. And I hope this conversation helps normalize some of the challenges that many of you folks are feeling out there or experiencing when you're transitioning maybe from school into the real world, or you're still feeling that way. Reminding you that confidence and clinical thinking and experience are all built over time. So keep learning, stay curious, and continue investing into your growth as a professional. And remember, protocols may teach the treatment, but experience teaches the practitioner. Thanks for joining and listening in, and I'll see you in the next episode of Beauty Babble.